Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Edna.
And I'm Harminder Singh. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Government agrees to drop economic crimes from extradition law amendment, bowing to business sector.
Commission of Inquiry says affected areas of Hong Kong Station Extension project are safe.
And former Hong Kong Minister Patrick Ho jailed for 3 years in U.S.
The government has bowed to pressure from the business sector and agreed to scrap economic crimes from proposed amendments to extradition laws.
Under the new proposals, 9 types of white-collar crimes have been dropped. Yupina Ng reports.
Hong Kong business leaders have got what they wanted from the government. It has agreed to remove a number of economic crimes from proposed amendments to extradition laws. Since the announcement of the amendments, local and international business groups in the city expressed their concerns about them. The changes would allow fugitives in Hong Kong to be transferred to the mainland, Taiwan or Macau. Some said they were worried that business people would inadvertently break mainland law, such as its complex tax laws. The American Chamber of Commerce had claimed that the mainland legal system was often abused to criminalize what were essential commercial disputes between foreign and local business interests. After months-long negotiations with lawmakers and the business sector, Security Secretary John Lee announced today that 9 types of white-collar crimes will be excluded from its extradition plan. They included offences related to stock trading, tax and duties, intellectual property rights, bankruptcy, and access to a computer with dishonest intent. The new legislation will only cover 37 types of crime, including murder, money laundering, and corruption. The threshold of extraditable offences was also raised. Only offenders facing a penalty of over 3 years imprisonment may be handed over.
What I'm proposing now is a universal standard that will be applicable to all jurisdictions around the world beyond the 20 with which Hong Kong has signed a long-term agreement. So I wish to emphasize that the long-term agreement with the mainland, the negotiation and this discussion still continue.
Lee denied the government was bowing to the business sector. Instead, the government made a conscious decision and calculated all factors.
This is a controversial subject. I listen to views. There are, of course, views that I can act on, and there are also views that I think I have difficulties in acting on. But that is a process that I would thank for anybody who has provided views to me, whether it is in support or in opposition.
The proposal to change extradition laws was sparked by a murder case in Taiwan involving a Hong Kong man. The Hong Kong Bar Association has suggested the government widen the scope of local criminal laws to cover overseas murder cases involving Hong Kong permanent residents. It also said the government should restrict the one-off transfer of fugitives in cases involving Taiwan for the time being. When asked why the Security Bureau did not consider the barristers' suggestions, Lee explained the government wanted to extradite not only murder suspects, but also other types of offenders. The bill will be submitted to the Legislative Council on the 3rd of April for first reading. Yupina Ng, HKIBC.
The city's former top prosecutor, Granville Cross, criticised the government for bowing to pressure to remove 9 offences from the proposed amendments to extradition laws.
These are serious offences and they shouldn't be treated differently, in my view, from other types of offences, because people who do commit white-collar crime shouldn't think they're in a special category and we don't have to face the consequences of what we've done. People should be treated equally, and if they've committed serious crimes of whatever nature, then there should be a mechanism for bringing them to account.
Construction at the Hong Kong Station Extension project was not executed to plan, but the affected parts of the projects are safe. That was the conclusion by the Commission of Inquiry looking into the scandal.
Following the revelation, Transport Secretary Frank Chan repeated the government's pledge not to rush the opening of the $97 billion Sha Tin to Central link until it was safe to do so. Riley Chan reports.
After 46 days of hearings, the Commission of Inquiry tasked to look into construction scandals at the Hong Kong Station Extension project submitted its interim report to the government last month. Today, the report was made public and confirmed that at least 8 rebars were cut and another 5 or 6 were not screwed into couplers between September and December 2015. The Commission said workers of subcontractor Fang Shang had cut the rebars, but the acts were not extensive nor systematic. The panel believed workers only took the shortcuts when they were faced with particular difficulties and found it was too much trouble to contact the project's main contractor Leighton Asia for assistance. These were isolated and sporadic incidents, the report said. The Commission also ruled that the diaphragm wall and platform slab at the station were not executed to plan. But after considering all the evidence, it concluded that safety of the completed structure was not compromised and it was unnecessary to rebuild or strengthen the parts. The report also dismissed recommendations for a load test for safety inspection, saying it would yield no meaningful results. Long-term monitoring of the structure would be a better approach to allay public concerns, the panel added. Transport Secretary Frank Chan repeated his reassurance to the public that the government would only open the Sha Tin to Central link when safety could be ensured.
Safety always comes first. This is the government's clear and loud position, and this is also public's aspiration and expectation. And there's no reason to speculate